It was fantastic. You don't get the chance to do that very often.
I wish you'd have listened to this.
Well, I would have, except my record player doesn't work now.
The stereo's broken?
Yeah.
Cybill Shepherd, the stunning actress mostly known for starring in The Last Picture Show, shocked audiences with a controversial scene. The intriguing pool scene was so provocative that it was banned from the film, leaving fans clamoring. But why was this scene deemed too much? And what impact did its removal have? Join us as we explore the tantalizing details. The scene everyone remembered. One of the most talked about moments in The Last Picture Show is the famous pool hall scene with Cybill Shepherd. It's a scene people still remember because of how it beautifully showed the struggle between innocence and old-fashioned values in a small Texas town during the 1950s. Even before the movie was released, this one scene had people arguing, and after the film came out, the conversations only grew louder. Some thought it was brave and honest, while others found it shocking and too daring for its time. In this unforgettable moment, Cybill Shepherd's character, J.C. Farrow, decides to take control of the boys in her group of friends. At a local pool hall, she suggests a risky game of strip billiards. Slowly, as the boys watch in silence, feeling both curious and embarrassed, J.C. removes her clothes, one piece at a time. The room fills with tension, a strange mix of excitement, nervousness, and surprise. What made the scene so powerful was how J.C. wasn't just being bold. She was also searching for attention, trying to prove something to herself and to everyone around her. She looked both innocent and daring at the same time, making the moment feel both sweet and unsettling. Filming this scene wasn't easy for Cybill Shepherd. At the time, she was new to acting and had never done anything like this before. It made her feel very exposed and unsure of herself. Though she had been told she could refuse certain scenes, there were no real rules or written promises to protect her. This left her feeling alone in a very difficult situation. The movie's director, Peter Bogdanovich, did what he could to make Shepherd feel safe. He spoke privately with the crew to set a respectful tone on set. He even filmed the boys' reactions separately, so Shepherd wouldn't feel so uncomfortable. But no matter what was done, Cybill couldn't help worrying about what this scene might mean for her future. What actually was the show about? How precise and careful was it crafted? Also, what was the true reason behind this show that made it contain such a scene? Let's dive into it. The sweet story behind The Last Picture Show. The Last Picture Show is one of those movies that leaves a mark on people's hearts. When it first came out, it caused quite a stir. Some people loved it instantly, while others weren't sure how to feel. There was even talk about banning it because of one bold scene. But before we get to that, let's take a moment to remember how this beautiful film came to be. In 1971, a young filmmaker named Peter Bogdanovich took on the challenge of turning The Last Picture Show into a movie. It was based on a partly true story written by Larry McMurtry in 1966. The story takes place in a quiet Texas town. It follows two high school seniors, Sonny and Dwayne, as they deal with friendship, first love, heartbreak, and the slow fading of their small community. Bogdanovich gathered a wonderful group of actors for this movie. New faces like Cybill Shepherd, along with talented stars like Cloris Leachman, Ben Johnson, Ellen Burstyn, and Timothy Bottoms, made the story come alive. Even though the film was made on a small budget of just $1,300,000, it ended up becoming a huge success. It made $29 million at the box office and earned 8 Oscar nominations. Ben Johnson won for Best Supporting Actor, and Cloris Leachman won for Best Supporting Actress. Years later, Bogdanovich tried to continue the story with a sequel called Texasville. Many of the original cast members returned, but the sequel didn't capture the same magic as the first film. Still, The Last Picture Show remained a beloved classic. In 1998, it was chosen to be preserved by the Library of Congress for its cultural, artistic, and historical importance. The story of how Bogdanovich decided to make this film is just as charming as the movie itself. Before this, he had only made one other film and wasn't very well known. One day, while waiting in line at a pharmacy, He noticed McMurtry's book. At first, he didn't think much of it and put it back on the shelf. But later, actor Sal Mineo, hoping to be part of the movie, sent a copy to Bogdanovich's wife, Polly Platt. Platt saw something special in the story, even though her husband wasn't sure about it. Together with McMurtry, they worked on turning the book into a screenplay. Even Steven Spielberg helped behind the scenes by securing the rights. Another brave choice was filming in black and white, which was rare at the time. The idea came from legendary director Orson Welles, who thought it would give the movie a timeless classic look. In the end, it was the perfect decision. They filmed everything in Archer City, Texas, where McMurtry grew up. The town was called Thalia in the book, but for the film, they changed it to Anarene. This tiny town gave the movie a real, genuine feel. When filming was done, Bogdanovich personally worked on the editing, carefully shaping every scene. When the film was finally shown to audiences, it caught their attention right away. People admired its honesty and courage in telling a story about loneliness, growing up, and the slow changes in small-town America. Its black and white look and unforgettable performances made it stand out. How a small town brought a big film to life. Peter Bogdanovich's journey to bring the Last Picture Show to life wasn't easy. It was more than just turning a book into a film. He wanted to capture a special time, a quiet place, and the simple beauty of small-town life in 1950s Texas. From the very start, Peter faced one obstacle after another, each one big enough to stop the project before it ever began. But somehow, those very challenges became the reasons this film turned out to be so memorable. One of the biggest problems was finding the right place to film. The story needed a town that felt quiet, dusty, and a little forgotten. After searching for a long time, they chose Archer City, Texas, the hometown of author Larry McMurtry. But this tiny town didn't have the things a big movie crew usually needed. It was short on resources, space, and modern comforts. Still, that was part of its charm. The town's simple and peaceful nature made it the perfect setting. It helped pull viewers right into the world of Texas. To make everything run smoothly, Bogdanovich and his team worked closely with the townspeople. They built friendships, solved small problems together, and invited the heart of Archer City into their movie. This teamwork didn't just help get the film made, it made the story feel even more real and honest. Every dusty street, old building, and familiar face on the screen added a layer of truth to the movie. Turning McMurtry's thoughtful book into a film wasn't simple either. The novel was filled with deep emotions, rich characters, and ideas about growing up, friendships, and the slow passing of time. Bogdanovich, McMurtry, and Polly Platt worked side by side to turn those feelings into a movie. They found a way to let the story speak through quiet moments, meaningful looks, and scenes that captured the heart of the book without needing too many words. Perhaps the boldest choice of all was deciding to film in black and white. At a time when most movies were filled with bright colors, this felt risky, but it was the perfect decision. The black and white images made the film feel timeless and added to its mood of loneliness, change, and faded memories. The play of light and shadows beautifully captured both the empty Texas landscapes and the quiet sadness in the characters' lives. But which perfect characters portrayed this show to its peak? How were they selected? Let's find out. Finding the perfect faces for a timeless story. One of the biggest reasons The Last Picture Show became such a beautiful and unforgettable film was because of its cast. Choosing the right people to bring the story's characters to life wasn't easy. Director Peter Bogdanovich and casting director Jane Jenkins worked tirelessly, searching for actors who didn't just look the part, but truly felt like they belonged in a small Texas town. They held many auditions, hoping to find people who could act naturally and blend into the quiet, dusty world of the story. It wasn't enough to be talented. These actors had to seem like they really lived in that little town, knew its secrets, and carried its quiet sadness in their eyes. What made the casting so special was how it mixed young, new faces with experienced, respected performers. Rising stars like Cybill Shepherd, Jeff Bridges, and Ben Johnson got the chance to shine, while seasoned actors like Timothy Bottoms and Cloris Leachman brought wisdom and depth to the film. Together, they created something magical. Their different energies balanced each other out, making every scene feel real and every character feel like someone you might know. Bogdanovich's way of directing played a big part in this too. He loved stories about people. Simple, honest stories driven by strong, believable characters. He encouraged his actors to lose themselves in their roles, not to act, but to be those people. He wanted them to talk, move, and react the way real people would. This made the movie feel natural and alive, not like a performance, but like a window into another time and place. Cybill Shepherd's unforgettable debut as J.C. Farrow. One of the sweetest and most unforgettable parts of The Last Picture Show is Cybill Shepherd's performance as J.C. Farrow. Her charm, beauty, and natural talent made the character come to life, and it's a big reason why the movie is still loved today. Cybill's story is as lovely as a small-town fairy tale. She was born on February 18, 1950, in Memphis, Tennessee. She was the second of 3 children, growing up with an older sister named Terry and a younger brother, William. Even her name was special, a mix of her grandfather Cy and her father Bill's names. From the time she was young, Cybill turned heads with her bright smile and friendly personality. At just 16, she was crowned Miss Teenage Memphis, and soon after, she competed in the Miss Teenage America pageant. There, she won the Miss Congeniality Award, showing everyone that she wasn't just beautiful, she was kind and warm, too. After high school, Cybill stepped into the world of modeling. Her unique look quickly grabbed attention, landing her on magazine covers and in fashion campaigns. Then, fate stepped in. One day in 1970, Polly Platt, the wife of director Peter Bogdanovich, spotted Cybill's face on the cover of Glamour magazine while waiting in a grocery store line. She instantly knew this young woman was perfect for a movie Peter was about to make, The Last Picture Show. The film was based on a book about a small, lonely Texas town in the 1950s. At its heart was J.C. Farrow, a beautiful, strong-willed girl who knew how to turn heads and break hearts. The role was important, and it needed someone fresh, someone real. Even though Cybill had never acted before, Bogdanovich believed she was the one. When she came in for a screen test, she outshined experienced actresses. There was something about her, a mix of innocence and quiet confidence, that felt perfect for J.C. Bogdanovich thought her lack of acting experience would actually make her performance feel more honest and natural. Once she got the part, Cybill worked hard to make the character believable. She became good friends with her co-stars, like Jeff Bridges and Timothy Bottoms, who were also young actors just starting out. Together, they created something beautiful, a story that felt real, like a glimpse into the lives of small-town teenagers finding their way. When The Last Picture Show was released in 1971, it became an instant hit. Audiences loved it, and critics called it a masterpiece. The film earned 8 Academy Award nominations and won 2. Cybill herself was nominated for a Golden Globe, an incredible honor for her very first film. One question that lingers was, how was Cybill able to pull this off? That is the scene that got everyone talking. And what was the effect of this scene on the movie at large? Stick with us to find out. The choice that changed Shepherd's career. Behind all the fame and bright lights, Cybill was still a small-town girl from Memphis, Tennessee, raised with strong values and simple beliefs about life. Growing up, Cybill's family taught her about kindness, respect, and staying true to yourself. In those days, girls were expected to act a certain way. Even when Cybill became famous, she carried those lessons in her heart. Hollywood was a world full of surprises and challenges, but Cybill tried her best to hold on to who she was. When she was offered the role of J.C. Farrow, it felt like a dream. The Last Picture Show was a powerful story about young people in a quiet Texas town, facing love, heartbreak, and growing up. J.C. was beautiful, bold, and knew how to get attention, but she also had a soft, lonely side, and that's what made the character so interesting. For Cybill, playing J.C. wasn't easy. The movie was very honest about life and included some scenes with nudity. Even though many films in the 1970s had those kinds of scenes, Cybill felt uneasy. It wasn't just because she was nervous, it was because of how she was raised. She had always been careful about such things and wanted to keep her dignity in a world that sometimes asked too much of young actresses. Director Peter Bogdanovich saw how Cybill felt. Instead of pressuring her, he listened. They had kind, open talks about what the story needed and what made Cybill uncomfortable. Together, they found a way to tell JC's story honestly while still respecting Cybill's feelings. In the end, what mattered most wasn't what the audience saw, it was what they felt. Cybill's performance was beautiful because of the emotion she brought to each scene. You could see JC's sadness, her strength, and her silent struggles just by watching Cybill's face, her movements, and hearing her voice. She didn't need to reveal too much on camera to show what her character was going through. Taking on a role that made her nervous showed how brave Cybill was. She proved that you can stand by your values and still chase your dreams. Her work in the Last Picture Show wasn't remembered for what she showed physically, but for the truth and tenderness in her acting. Even today, people talk about how wonderful Cybill was in that film. It's a reminder that sometimes the scariest moments can turn into the most important ones in our lives, and that staying true to who you are will always be your greatest strength. Controversies surrounding the film. When The Last Picture Show aired, it grabbed people's attention for many reasons. The film told a touching story about life in a small town, young love, and the hard lessons that come with growing up. People connected with it because it felt real, but one scene in particular caused a lot of talk, and not all of it was good. In the movie, Cybill Shepherd, who played the character JC Farrow, was in a scene where she played a game of strip billiards at a pool party. Back then, this was something very bold and unusual to show in a popular movie. Some people thought the scene was brave and honest, showing the confusing feelings young people go through when it comes to love, attraction, and choices. But not everyone saw it that way. Many people were upset. Some movie critics and audience members called it inappropriate and offensive. And because Cybill was a young, rising actress at the time, it made the conversation even louder. Soon, the debate wasn't just happening in movie theaters, it was all over the country. Church groups, parents' associations, and moral watch groups spoke out. They worried that scenes like this could send the wrong message to young people and hurt the values that families believed in. In many small, traditional towns, people feared that movies like this might lead society in a bad direction. Things got even worse when, without Cybill's permission, Playboy magazine published pictures from that pool scene. Cybill was heartbroken. She had already felt unsure about filming those moments and had spoken up about her concerns. The director and team promised to respect her limits, but no official papers were signed. And suddenly, those images were out in the world. Feeling betrayed, Cybill made a brave decision. She took legal action against Playboy, claiming they had no right to publish those photos. This wasn't just a small case. It became big national news. It also opened up a very important conversation about how actors should be treated, especially when it comes to scenes involving nudity or personal, sensitive moments. People everywhere began to realize how easily actors, especially women, could lose control over their own images once a film was made. The case sparked changes in the movie world. The Screen Performers Guild and other film industry groups stepped in to create clearer, stronger rules. These new rules protected actors, making sure no one could be forced into uncomfortable scenes without their full, written consent. And if those images were ever used outside the movie, the actors would have the final say. Filmmakers also started to be more thoughtful about how they showed difficult subjects like love, heartbreak, and desire. They realized how important it was to treat actors with kindness, care, and respect, both on screen and off. After it aired, criticism followed, but what came next, you would never expect. Let us explore the bans that occurred. The Last Picture shows banning battles. Certain scenes, like one where the characters went skinny dipping, felt too bold for the time. Many thought it crossed a line, especially because young audiences might be watching too. Across America, communities found themselves divided. On one side, there were people who believed movies should be free to tell the truth, even if it made people uncomfortable. On the other side were parents, church leaders, and local officials who worried about the film's effect on morals and young viewers. The debate quickly turned into action. In some cities, theater owners were warned not to show the movie. In others, local leaders threatened legal trouble for any cinema that screened it. Some theaters had to limit showings to adults only. A few canceled the movie entirely to avoid problems. In 1973, one dramatic event took place in Phoenix, Arizona. The city attorney told a drive-in theater to cut the skinny dipping scene or stop showing the movie, but the theater manager refused. The case went all the way to federal court. In the end, the court ruled that the film wasn't offensive by law, but the situation showed just how divided people were about what should and shouldn't be allowed on screen. Another big case happened in Rapides Parish, Louisiana, where a district attorney tried to shut down the film's screening. But again, the theater fought back and won in court. All across the country, people were arguing about who had the right to decide what movies could show and how far filmmakers could go. This controversy didn't just affect movie theaters. It changed Hollywood itself. Because of what happened during the last picture show, the Screen Performers Guild made new rules to protect actors. From then on, producers had to get written permission for any nude or sensitive scenes. These changes were especially important because actress Cybill Shepherd had spoken up about her discomfort while filming. But back then, her concerns weren't fully respected. Despite all the protests and bans, the last picture show still became a huge success. It was nominated for 8 Academy Awards and won 2. People might have argued about the scenes, but most agreed the story itself was beautiful and honest. Even those who didn't like the movie's bold parts admitted it started important conversations about art, censorship, and performers' rights. Life after the last picture show for Cybill. After all the attention and debates over the last picture show, young Cybill Shepherd found herself at a surprising turning point. In 1972, she landed another big role, starring in The Heartbreak Kid alongside Charles Grodin. In the movie, she played Kelly, a beautiful, charming woman who catches a man's heart during his honeymoon in Miami. The film, directed by Elaine May and written by Neil Simon, was a hit with both critics and audiences. It gave Cybill the chance to show a new side of her acting, winning over different fans along the way. That same year, Cybill's face became even more familiar when she was chosen to represent Kodak's popular store ads. Her bright smile appeared in shops all across the country, making her a household name beyond movie screens. In 1974, she teamed up again with director Peter Bogdanovich for Daisy Miller, a film based on a famous old story. Set against the lovely backdrop of Europe, the film looked beautiful, but sadly, audiences didn't connect with it, and it didn't do well in theaters. It was a tough time for Cybill, but she refused to give up. Wanting to try something new, Cybill stepped into the music world. She recorded an album called Cybill Does It to Cole Porter, where she sang songs by the famous composer. Even though the album wasn't a hit and reviews weren't kind, Cybill was proud of herself for chasing a new dream and discovering another side of her talent. In 1975, she appeared in a musical film called At Long Last Love, again directed by Bogdanovich. But once more, the movie struggled to win over critics and moviegoers. Things were tough until everything changed in 1976. That year, Cybill starred in Martin Scorsese's classic film Taxi Driver. She played Betsy, a smart, kind campaign worker who catches the eye of Travis Bickle, played by Robert De Niro. Interestingly, Scorsese first searched for someone like Cybill Shepherd, and then realized the perfect choice was Cybill herself. Her performance was praised, marking a beautiful comeback for her career. After Taxi Driver, Cybill's career slowed a bit. She appeared in movies like The Lady Vanishes, a modern version of an old Hitchcock thriller, but it didn't make a big splash. During this quiet period, Cybill decided it was time to get better at her craft. She enrolled in acting classes with the famous teacher, Stella Adler. Then came a life-changing conversation with her dear friend, legendary filmmaker Orson Welles. When Cybill was offered a role in a small dinner theater in Norfolk, Virginia, she wasn't sure what to do. Welles told her to leave the spotlight of big cities like Los Angeles and New York for a while, to perform anywhere she could, away from harsh critics, and fall back in love with acting. Cybill took his advice. She returned home to Memphis, where she quietly performed in local theater, honing her skills and rediscovering the joy of acting without pressure. It was a peaceful, personal chapter in her life. In 1981, she starred in a play called Vanities in St. Louis, Missouri. Then, in 1982, she performed in New York in a stage show called Lunch Hour, sharing the spotlight with James MacArthur. These simple, heartfelt performances helped Cybill rebuild her confidence and prepare for her next big opportunity. In 1983, Cybill returned to television with a role in NBC's drama series The Yellow Rose, acting alongside Sam Elliott. Although the show earned good reviews, it was sadly canceled after one season. But fate had something wonderful in store. In 1985, Cybill landed the role of Maddie Hayes in a brand new TV series called Moonlighting. The show was a fun mix of mystery, romance, and comedy, and it became an instant hit. Cybill herself helped pick the perfect actor to play her co-star, a then-unknown Bruce Willis. Their playful, fiery chemistry lit up the screen and captured viewers' hearts. The show's success earned Cybill 2 Golden Globe Awards and a beloved place in TV history. What impact does this show have on the Hollywood world and the society at large? Let's find out. The lasting magic of The Last Picture Show. When The Last Picture Show was released in 1971, it quickly won the hearts of both audiences and critics. People loved how it told the simple, emotional story of a small town in Texas. The movie showed the joys, the heartbreaks, and the quiet moments of people just trying to live their lives. Famous film critic Roger Ebert even called it the best movie of the year. He said it was powerful because it made people feel so deeply and showed the sadness of a town slowly fading away. But Ebert wasn't alone in his praise. Vincent Canby from the New York Times described it as a beautiful and unforgettable film. He admired how it captured a part of American history that seemed to be slipping away. Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune also loved the movie. He gave it a high rating and said it made you truly care about the people in the story, whether they were hanging out at a diner, watching a game, or secretly meeting by their cars. Charles Champlin of the Los Angeles Times said the film offered a deep look at how the past shapes people's lives, while Gary Arnold of the Washington Post appreciated how the movie made viewers feel connected to the characters without trying to make them copy their mistakes. And guess what? Even decades later, people still love this film. As of October 2023, The Last Picture Show holds an incredible 98% score on Rotten Tomatoes, based on 114 reviews. Critics today call it a touching and beautiful classic with unforgettable acting. On Metacritic, it has an outstanding 93 out of 100 score, showing that its magic has truly stood the test of time. The movie's influence even reached the world of music. In 1975, the American rock band Little Feat released an album titled The Final Recording, a sweet little nod to The Last Picture Show. The album cover even had small hidden references to the film, proof of how much it had become part of popular culture. More than 50 years after it first hit theaters, The Last Picture Show remains a classic. It reminds us that movies aren't just about action or excitement. They're about people, their dreams, struggles, small moments, and the way life can quietly change over time. This timeless film continues to show how powerful storytelling can be. It proves that one simple movie, filled with honest moments and real emotions, can leave a lasting mark on audiences and shape the way we see the world. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.